the meeting for Polk County Commissioners Court for January 28th, 2025, 10 a.m. at Polk County Regional Health Building, Suite A. At this time, please mute or turn off your cell phones and any other devices. And we would like to ask Lyndall Mitchell with the Livingston Church of Christ to come lead us in prayer.
Let's bow together. Lord, we acknowledge your presence here among us. We're grateful for the day. We're grateful for each new day that dawns. We come, especially at this time, thankful for government of and by and for the people. We seek to be able to impress upon our fellow citizens what a blessing it is to be able to manage our own affairs. We pray that you would bless these proceedings, that they would be carried out in a courteous and peaceful way. And as this new administration has come to power, we know that there will be some disruption as people are asked to go back to their homes of origin. We pray that you bless our officers and emergency personnel with safety, as well as those that they have to contact. Continue with us this day, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, did anyone sign up for public comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay, informational reports. We do have an informational report from the Alabama Coushatta Tribe. They are having their day at the Capitol. Will be on Tuesday, February the 18th, for anyone who would like to attend. If you are interested, please let them know, and their bus that goes to Austin, will take you there and bring you back, is going to stop right here at this office and pick people up if you're interested. They will pick you up at 7 a.m. right here on Tuesday, February 18th. Any other informational reports? Okay, we need one informational report. Jennifer Moffett will present our yearly report for the Delinquent Tax Office.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So this report is going to be from October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024. I've given everyone a handout and we'll go over a brief discussion of it. So on the second page, we have our mailing for the fiscal year. We have mailed 23,744 warning notice letters. Basically, those mailings, the goal is for every taxpayer on your delinquent tax roll with a current address to receive correspondence from us several times. The next page is going to show the new lawsuits, dismissals, judgments, and tax sale results. So we have filed 256 real property and personal property lawsuits to collect delinquent property taxes on 389 accounts. Our dismissals have resulted in a total of 144 lawsuits that involved over $1 million in taxes, penalty, and interest being dismissed. Also during the fiscal year, we have taken judgments on 142 lawsuits involving $529,941 in delinquent taxes. And then on our release of judgments, there have been 31 that have been filed due to payments totaling $203,000. So also during this reporting period, we had 138 tracts of real property that were taken to the tax sale. The property sold during this time totaled $1,167,295. So the sheriff's sales are still going really strong. We have a lot of people coming and attending those. On the fourth page, we're going to have our 5-year comparison of our collections. As you can see, they've remained strong. And on the last page, we're gonna have our yearly collection report with a 5-year comparison. So the 2023 turnover, from this reporting period, we've collected 37% in 3 months. Anybody have any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Jennifer?
Well, feel free to contact our office anytime in case you do, and we're happy to serve you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Jennifer. Okay, new business, you have your consent agenda. You have an addendum on B in the amount of $120,138.62. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anybody wishes to pull? Motion to approve, Commissioner Robertson, second Commissioner Dubus, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. New business, bless you. New business number 19, consider approval of personnel matters as follows. Review and consider personnel action form requests submitted by the department heads since the last meeting, and review of any authorized emergency hiring. We need a motion to delete at this time because we do not have any PAS from department heads.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Purvis, second Commissioner Cassidy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 20, consider request for budget amendments as follows. A, the FY 2025 budget amendments as presented by the County Auditor's Office. Copy of the proposed amendments, number 2025-6A, is included in your packet for your review as well.
Approved.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Dubus, second Commissioner Purvis, all in favor say aye. Sorry, Milt, I have trouble with your name, and you're the one I know the best.
Just say milk.
Just say Milt, it'll be okay. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 21. This is one of those convoluted ones. Discuss and consider any and all necessary action relating to the emergency replacement of hot water boiler system at the Polk County Jail. Polk County Jail has 2 hot water boilers and 2 HVAC heating boilers. So it was reported to this office that 1 boiler on each system, Nicole's here, so between she and Carrie, they can keep me straight. Or the jail, is the jail here? That 1 boiler on each system was barely functioning and that the other one was not at all. So we made an emergency purchase to replace the 2 non-functioning boilers, 1 in each system. The jail commission requires that the jail be vacated if there's insufficient heat for 24 hours or more, or if there's insufficient hot water for 72 hours or more. So clearly it was an emergency. At the previous meeting, the Commissioners Court approved to fund the previously authorized emergency purchase for the 2 boilers. And we did that for the maintenance capital outlay buildings, which is a line item, budgeted funds in maintenance. So it was done with the understanding that the other 2 boilers would also need to be replaced in the near future, but they did not fall in the emergency category. However, before the boilers arrived to be installed, upon further inspection, when they went in to look at the rest of it, both McWilliams and Sons and our maintenance department, it was discovered that the tank on the hot water boiler system has failed and would also be needed to be replaced. However, the system, the big tanks, basically, there's no room inside that area for maintenance or for McWilliams and Sons for anybody to be able to maneuver. Basically, the room that was built around the boilers. So now, we've rescinded one of our orders, and McWilliams and Sons came up with another option, which would be to have an alternative and recommend a replacement of the entire hot water boiler system with 14 smaller boilers rather than the 2 great big ones that we can't get in to fix. So this option provides greater redundancy. If one of them goes out, that's okay. The other ones are operational. It also, and so that would reduce the risk of hot water disruption at the jail. McWilliams and Son had the equipment on hand to begin that installation on Friday, January 17th. So the original amount that we approved was $74,900 for 2 boilers. One for the hot water system and one for the HVAC system. To address the most urgent issues, we authorized the cancellation of the previously approved order on the hot water boiler, but keep the order for the heating boiler and move forward with a 14 boiler system for the hot water for additional cost of $152,475. So that is also included for your review. So with the order canceled, we have an available balance of approximately $40,000 in the maintenance capital outlay building line item. We need to approve the additional funding to be paid from that line item, and then later we can come back and make a budget revision. At this time, we have some depository surplus money available to us. This depository interest at this time is $225,272. The adopted budget projected the revenues in this line item to be at $350,000. So if we continue to receive that level of interest, then we should be able to come back later and amend the budget and make the general fund whole using the surplus in depository interest. I can go ahead and do number 22 because they're kind of tied in together in terms of funding. So if you'll stay with me. Now let's talk about radios. The sheriff and jail, well, the sheriff's office especially wanted to get away from the Motorola radios. So the sheriff's office has migrated to L3 Harris for the radio purchases. They were able to purchase the majority of the handheld radios that they needed last year from L3 Harris, utilizing the SB 22 funds, and they've been very happy with that purchase. So L3 Harris with cooperative, because they're on our co-op, it removes the competitive bidding requirement for the county. The adopted budget included $150,000 for radio purchases, and the court agreed to supplement that purchase with IH phone revenues. So we have an available budget of $415,923.38 for the purchase of radios for emergency management and law enforcement. All the proposals were included in your packet for your review and the information for each radio. They all include a 3-year extension of the 2-year warranty, and these are unofficial quotes at this time for budgeting purposes only. Once the court makes a decision, then Mr. Maddox will prepare the official quotes. The emergency management proposal includes 8 portable radios, which includes 1 each for the fire marshal and environmental enforcement, plus 3 radios that can be issued as needed, and 2 mobile radios at a total price of $48,984.84. The sheriff's office proposal includes 55 mobile radios at a cost of $334,554, and they've also requested 3 additional portable radios, which would cost $14,492.10. The constables have also requested a total of 15 mobile radios at a cost of $91,242,000. Additionally, 12 portable radios would provide 1 for each constable and 2 for their reserves at a cost of $57,968.40. The volunteer fire department proposal includes 10 portable radios for a total cost of $44,423.84. Those would remain as Polk County property, but would be issued during emergency times so that we could communicate easily with the volunteer fire departments that are involved. If it is a completely countywide emergency, then we will have one radio per volunteer fire department. So they can communicate directly with law enforcement, emergency management, whoever they need to communicate with. For commissioners that wish to purchase the radios, we also got options on that, and there's some lower cost options. Because you don't require the heavier duty encryption, that may not be needed, and the dual band is probably enough to meet your needs. Those handheld radios are quoted at $2,450, and the mobile radios are quoted at $2,917. And those would come out of the individual commissioner's budget, depending on what you wish to purchase. So with the radios, and in terms of the general fund individuals, which is the sheriff's office, the constables, and emergency management, that could come out of the general fund, along with purchasing the necessary, because it is necessary, equipment that the jail needs. And then we would have to come back and go surplus depository interest and make the general fund whole. So, do we have any questions on item number 21, which is the heater and the water boilers and the jail?
So, if I figure right, then the boiler at the jail is gonna cost $189,925. I mean, that's what that total is. Am I close? I don't,
Yes, you are.
that's half of the 74 now, plus the 152,
Correct,
right?
Yeah,
yes.
So y'all still gonna buy one
We
of
said,
the
we
old style
already,
boilers?
correct, for the HVAC.
Okay, how you gonna get it in the room if you can't?
That's a separate system. The HVAC one, they're all out in the
They're
open
outside,
and
okay.
can get to. This is the hot water side of it. The hot water side of it, the tank that failed, the tank is back behind both boilers. So both boilers, the entire hot water system would have to be broken down, the tank removed, a new tank put in, which is an astronomical price just itself. Then the whole water boiler system reinstalled while we continue to wait on another boiler for that certain area, right?
Yeah.
So with all that not on hand and being built, we do have an option, that boiler system from McWilliams with the 14 separate boilers all on hand, ready to go. So then the jail's not down past no 72 hours and,
Yeah.
you know, that option's,
So y'all just gonna take the old one out and throw it away?
it'll be surplus, correct?
Yeah.
parts of it were,
But the one you're gonna replace, it's outside where you can get to it.
The other HVAC boiler that's still on order, that we didn't cancel, yes, that one's outside, that's
Okay.
not an issue like this one is. The hot water system's an issue. It won't be from now on out. If any part of the system fails after this, it can all be replaced one at a time, and
Yeah.
there won't have to be a large sum.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
Right.
one of the things also, you might want to tell the court, Grady, is when they went back there, there were some tanks, or at least a tank, that was covered in insulation, and so when they removed that insulation, it was completely corroded, so it was headed,
Yes, there was
Or
a
a mess.
fitting on the pop-off on the old tank, I guess had a slow leak for years. It's the hot water side, so it leaked down into the insulation and evaporated. So it never had a chance to leave the tank, go on the ground. I mean, no one could
For
see
anyone to
that
see
it was
it.
going on until we had the leak where it is now. Once the insulation is pulled back, the whole top of the tank's rusted out to the point it can't be repaired, used anymore, so. That's where the emergency is if it fails right now, we are very much in a bind. So it's still leaking as we sit here, so.
and I do have to say this for the jail did make plans that if that happens, they have a contingency plan on how they were gonna move forward or what they were going to do. So the jail is prepared for whatever happens, but it would be nice to not have to follow through with those emergency plans for taking all of those.
I think
People
it's,
out.
yeah, the cost of moving the inmates to the IH where they have room exceeds the emergency price of getting the boilers changed, so.
And we would have to find accommodations for women somewhere else. So they've done a great job of being strategic.
What's the expected life of this, the new one?
Of the newer system, I'm not sure.
I mean, what's
They're
the
outdoor
company that sells
rated, so I think they're a little heavy dutier.
it? Okay,
But like the judge was saying, there's 14, if one goes down, you know, it doesn't disrupt the jail in any way. And being that they're outdoor rated, they can be outside, they can be maneuvered around and be changed one at a time, and, you know, it's an updated version. I guess the silver lining in all of this is if we got everything we'd have previously wanted, we'd still be based on an outdated system. And now it'll be an updated system for the jail, you know, with all those extra redundancies and stuff, so it's less likely for a severe failure later on.
okay.
It's 5 year, right? Warranty, I mean, that's the warranty.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody have any?
Any other option?
The only other option is to replace that tank. And like I say, you would have to rig down old boilers to remove the tank, put a tank back, you know, there's the option to put a tank on the outside too, I guess, but it just, to do all that work, to spend all that money and still be in the same place where you're setting with an old style boiler system with a,
Probably be more cost efficient too, though.
yes, cost efficient completely. You know, that's like, say, the silver lining kinda comes from, is this actually puts us, it's unfortunate, but it does put us in a better place in the end.
Anybody else?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion to approve moving forward. Second,
I'll second.
Commissioner Dugas, all in favor say
And
aye.
we're gonna fund it.
Through general fund for now, and then when we get the depository interest,
Yeah.
then we will make the general fund whole.
And that's gonna be enough to cover this and the radios.
If our revenues on the depository interest continue at the rate they are, then yes, it will.
Okay.
Plus, continue getting interest from the revenues too, so.
Hopefully.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now, 22, which is the radios. Same thing, we can move forward with the additional cost, get it from the general fund, and then come back and make the general fund whole. And that would be for law enforcement radios. It's the total cost of all the radios requested.
Are all these portable radios the same?
Sir?
They're different.
What?
The portable radios, they're different.
Yeah,
I
they're-
mean, like, what the fire department getting is different than what the constables are
Yes, sir.
getting.
There's more encryption and stuff on law enforcement required by the state, so it would be completely different from some of the fire department stuff.
And these radios are gonna be compatible with the text warrant system that we built this tower, now we're doing all this stuff for it.
Well, that's what-
Everything's gonna work with everything, everything's gonna be compatible, and somebody said, hey, ain't gonna come back a year later, well, you know, this just don't work. You know,
No,
I
it's
mean, it don't
compatible.
work with this because this.
Well, that's the whole reason why we're moving to the radio system, because of the text law one and going to 7-800, the reason why we're having to
Okay, well,
replace so many mobile units.
But I'm just double checking, because so many times we do something and then a year later, that's, well, that didn't work.
They're very much
Well, you know,
compatible, yes.
I mean, hell, we wanna know it's gonna work now.
And in 2 years.
Yeah.
And one reason why we're getting away from Motorola's got a good product, but they're very expensive and there's no customer service. You can't charge that price and not have any kind of customer service at all. Harris Radios is a good radio, they've been around for a long time, they mainly do DOD, military. This is a side gig for them pretty much for law enforcement they're getting into, but it's still a very good radio.
Well, y'all know about radios, we don't. I mean, I've never had one that worked in my precinct. I mean, so we're having to listen, you know, I'm relying on y'all, we're relying on y'all that we don't make a mistake with this.
No, sir, they're good radios.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything you all wish to add to that?
Okay.
I'm with Elfrey Harris, Harry Mack
Yes.
with Elfrey Harris, and I came just in case you had any questions. I would like to say that the city of Livingston has been on our network and these radios for about a year now, or just under a year. So that's already been tried and true, but throughout the text warrant system, we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of radios on the text warrant system. We just happen to do it less expensive than the competitor, but it's a high quality radio at a lesser expense, a lesser price.
So moved.
Commissioner Purvis, Commissioner Dubois, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 23, discuss and consider any and all necessary action regarding the rebid of RFP number 2025-13 for pre-employment psychological evaluations for law enforcement. The deadline for these bids had to be pushed out to Monday, January 27th, due to the weather conditions that were disrupting the mail. The bids were open, reviewed by the sheriff's office, purchasing and procurement, and a representative from Human Services. At this time, is there any change in the value to what we're paying now as opposed to a contract?
No, Connection Council is what we're paying now, I believe was the lowest bid, and that's the same price, what we're paying now.
Did we ever speak to Serenity House or
Yeah.
Ms. Munson about it?
Yes, we spoke with Ms. Munson, and what I would ask today is if we could table it. She is in the process of trying to see if she can actually be able to perform the evaluations herself, or if she would have to hire someone. And in the process of hiring, if she has to hire a doctor to come in and do it, what would she have to charge? So she's in the process of doing that. We just gotta get her some more documentation to review. If we could table it until the next.
I think that would be a good option. I think we should table it. First of all, do you really want to get into a single provider contract with someone that isn't offering you any additional value? Right, because then you wouldn't be able to use anybody else.
Yeah.
Correct? So you want to just table it until further notice?
Please.
Very well.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Purvis, Commissioner Cassidy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, number 25, discuss and consider any and all necessary action regarding forming a biosolids committee.
Skip 24.
Oh, sorry, I skipped 24. Regarding, discuss and consider any and all necessary action regarding bid number 2025-15 for the purchase of 2 trucks for precinct 3. Bids were due on Wednesday, January 22nd. Nicole Reeks with Purchasing and Procurement will update the court, and copies of the bids and summary of proposal are included for your review. Do you need an update for Nicole,
No,
or
ma'am.
do you wish to make a motion?
Martin Chevrolet was the lowest bid by about $2,650, so we'll accept the bids from Martin Chevrolet.
Okay, that comes as a bid from Commissioner Purvis. Second, Commissioner Cassidy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 25, discuss and consider any and all necessary action regarding forming a biosolids committee. The July 2024 edition of the Texas County Progress featured an article which was included in your packet for your review, detailing an investigation by Johnson County officials and the potential health risk caused by application of biosolids, which may spread toxic chemicals. Several of us attended a presentation at AgriLife, Judges and Commissioners Court Conference in Nacogdoches. A copy of that presentation slideshow is available on request from our office. We also emailed it to everybody when I returned from that conference. So biosolids are a product of the wastewater treatment process, are created when solids are separated from liquids and then treated physically and chemically to produce a semi-solid, nutrient-rich material, which is referred interchangeably as biosolids or sewage sludge. These materials are regulated by the EPA when applied to land. However, there are some contaminants from biosolids that are present and fall outside the scope of the EPA's regulation. And these unregulated contaminants have been linked to significant health concerns for people and animals living near those areas where biosolids are applied. We would like to establish a dedicated committee that would proactively address the biosolid issues in Polk County. And the primary responsibilities would include researching immediate actions that the county can take to protect our residents from potential risks, identifying regulatory gaps and assessing whether current county authority is sufficient to provide necessary health and safety protections, and review our guidelines for waste disposal in the county. Should the committee determine that we lack the regulatory authority to adequately safeguard public health, then we will need to work with our legislators to pursue legislative changes. Either way, it's essential that we stay ahead of this issue and that we prioritize the health and safety of our community. Some of these chemicals are what they call forever chemicals. In essence, they have an extremely long half-life, like 150,000 years. And so we do not want them to get into our water, we don't want them to get into our soil or into our watershed in any form or fashion. So we would like for the court to appoint some committee members. Commissioner Cassidy is the only one that has no committee at this point.
I have plenty to do.
Everybody has more than they can say grace over.
Everybody's busy.
Everybody gets a committee. I don't care if you ask someone else to be on the committee either. So I am
I'll make the
nominating.
motion for,
And I'll second. And who else? We need another member of the court. You need another person that can help you.
Yeah, like,
Second.
Yeah, I was sorry.
And I would like to see a J Deal on there.
Oh, yes, we sent the information to Jay. We also would like for our environmental enforcement officer to be on there, possibly our fire marshal. So we have a list of people that we would like to recommend be on there to provide input and information.
Commissioner Johnson, Larry Woody, is a good guy. And he'll help.
you know,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
we might won't be on this committee too.
No, y'all already. Y'all already.
Oh, that makes 3, Open Meeting Act violation.
Yeah. I'm
I'll
out.
step aside.
Okay, so I believe Commissioner Purvis made the original request for,
Mark did.
okay, Dubose and Purvis. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
I'd like to just, because I think most of us were there that day and listened to it, and even though we are kind of laughing and things, but it is most serious and very scary what has been happening
In Johnson County.
in Johnson County.
It was spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
a
and
definite something that's, it's an eye opener. If you'll go and look at his, Commissioner Woody's reports
Presentation.
and everything,
Yeah.
presentation.
I would second that and highly encourage.
It's an eye opener. It's
so look it up on your own, because part of it is that the biosolids that they're receiving, that Johnson County is receiving, are from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they included medical waste in there. And so it just kind of all goes into one giant sludge pot, and then they dehydrate it, do whatever they're gonna do chemically and physically to it, and then they lay it on the land. And people's cattle started dying, people started getting cancers, all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
it's
So It's very, very serious, and we need to get on top of it. We're too close to Houston. Anything else you want to say on that? Okay, item number 26, discuss and consider action relating to volunteer fire department territory. The volunteer fire department chiefs developed a formula that is used to distribute funding among the different departments based upon the territory that each serves. There's base funding that is distributed equally among the departments, plus an amount determined by the number of miles, the number of structures, and the value in millions in the service areas. The county approved MOUs with criteria agreed upon by the fire chiefs for volunteer eligibility. To receive quarterly funding, we must have a signed MOU with the department and proof of their workers' compensation insurance, and they must submit their quarterly report to the Polk County Fire Marshal. Commissioner Purvis has requested this agenda item to address the territory that was reassigned from Goodrich Volunteer Fire Department to Livingston Fire Department. For your review, the funding distribution spreadsheet, both prior to and the redistribution of territory, is included. I've asked the fire marshal to come give us an update. I can go through some of the concerns that were presented to the court before. Do you have those in your report, just the concerns that were presented before?
I sure do. You want me to go through those first?
Absolutely, yes, sir. So this was information that was discussed in executive session originally for the court to consider, which is where the change in territory came from.
I addressed the following concerns last fall with Commissioners Court. The Goodrich Volunteer Fire Department had not produced the required training documents to show their compliance with training through the State Firefighters and Fire Marshal Association Pro Board, which is the certification entity for volunteer fire departments that's recognized in the state of Texas. Paid firefighters fall under a different category, okay? And this was, the Pro Board, or to follow that training regime and certification is what is recommended by the Polk County Fire Chiefs Association, which is made up of fire chiefs of all of our volunteer fire departments. So they set this standard as a whole for all the fire departments in the county. Okay, and the Goodrich Fire Department was not following and was not even, if I recall correctly, member of the State Firefighters and Fire Marshal Association at that time. The Goodrich Volunteer Fire Department also had, as per their roster, they had 13 eligible members. As we reviewed their roster, we questioned as to it as if 5 members would actually respond to these incidents and are active in this department. So that left us with 8 members that were who we consider to be active, and statistics show that on the average, 1/3 of those members actually serve consistently. This being said, brings the number to approximately 3 actual responders for the fire department. We found this to be unacceptable and unsafe for operating the fire department. I know this is volunteer and it's hard to compare that to a paid department, but our paid departments will not move an apparatus without 4 people on it. We questioned the Goodrich Volunteer Fire Department response times and their times for even acknowledging the initial call from dispatch. It was found that the acknowledging the call sometimes took as long as 12 minutes. That is before responders even en route to the emergency. When asked, Chief Hambrick responded that 8 to 10 minutes was okay. This was found to be unacceptable because dispatch procedures would have alerted nearby department to respond to their call for the non-acknowledgement. So the way they've set this up, whether it's right or wrong, I explained this last time, is dispatch receives the call, and Goodrich is being dispatched through the ambulance service as a courtesy of the ambulance service. They've dispatched some of our volunteer fire departments. So they send out an initial call to the Goodrich Fire Department members, And if it is not received and acknowledged within 6 minutes, they do a second tone out to these same members. Once again, they give them 6 minutes. If they do not respond during that time, then they contact the next closest department to respond to that incident. That is unsatisfactory. I don't know if it's the procedure was set up by the volunteer fire departments for the dispatch or not, but when this was addressed with them not acknowledging the call, the chief comes back with, yeah, 8-10 minutes is okay when acknowledging the call. Well, that's not. If it's a medical call and someone needs CPR, they're not breathing or something like that, permanent brain damage can happen between 6 and 9 minutes. Okay, so we need people responding and acknowledging the call. With this delayed acknowledgement time and then the added response time, that can make some of their members or the first arriving people an on-scene time of 20 minutes from the time the 911 call comes in. These are unsatisfactory times. We questioned them on the department's extrication equipment. Part of their territory at the time that they were serving in the county took in parts of the highway out there where we have several motor vehicle accidents have occurred and will continue to occur in that area, and they would be the first responders. So we questioned them on their department's extrication equipment, if they had any, and if their members are trained on the extrication device, because we had knowledge of deficiencies in this area. So they didn't provide us with anything showing that their members were trained or that they even had the needed equipment. We also questioned the possibility of selective responding and not responding to all certain types of calls, such as medical and or landing calls. So when I talk about selective responding, say the dispatcher sends out an incident to have a 911 call for, could be a sick call in their territory. Their pagers go off, they look at it, they hear the dispatcher say, we've got a sick call, da-da-da-da-da. They decide to ignore that one. That's selective. Okay, they wait for somebody else to pick it up. We're not gonna do that. We also looked at the department carrying workers' compensation and accident insurance for their members. This is something that's recommended by the Chiefs Association also, and now it's in our contract. At that time, when we questioned them on it, they did not have it. After the meeting we had, they purchased a workman's compensation policy for the department. I'm not sure about the accident because they never provided proof of that. But this was all done in response to an incident they had with their department when they were not carrying this insurance. So it's sort of a knee-jerk reaction after the fact. And there was a lot of issues at that time. We also asked them about their department's cooperation with the ISO rating documentation. And they had never presented it to the county or to fire marshal's office or anything that they had were compliant and that they had completed with the inspector the necessary stuff to get their ISO rating done. And reason for that is that the fire department did not cooperate with the inspector at the time and meet him in certain things and go over certain things that would allow this documentation to have taken place. When we asked the chief about that, he responded, "It is what it is." Now, and my response to that to this day, to all those issues that I just discussed, my department has not received any documentation showing that this department is compliant with the training program for the State Firefighters and Fire Marshals Association. They They did turn in a department roster to me last week. With, the only difference it was from the roster that I had when I presented last time to y'all was one member was removed for ineligibility. The roster remains the same with no new members. So those 13 members we talked about, 5 that we were pretty sure are not even active and not responding, left it to 8. Out of those 8, with people working and stuff like that, leaves them down to about an average of 3 people available to respond. If they respond, and they're not selective with their choosing of what runs to run on. I have not received any information stating that their incident acknowledgement or on-scene times have improved. The acknowledgement time average in the past was 12 minutes, and sometimes not at all, and the on-scene times were as long as 20 minutes. I'm gonna give you an example. When I checked with dispatch the other day, they gave me an example of a call that happened, and this was after the territory had been placed in the hands of Livingston Volunteer Fire Department. Livingston Volunteer Fire Department was dispatched to a motor vehicle accident at 2:50 p.m. as per the dispatcher. Livingston Volunteer Fire Department members arrived on location at 2:52 p.m. That's a 2-minute response. Goodrich Volunteer Fire Department also received the call, and they arrived on location at 2:57. That's 5 minutes after Livingston Volunteer Fire Department arrived on the scene from the dispatcher's notes and from radio communications. This actually was not in the portion of the county that we had reassigned to Livingston Volunteer Fire Department. This was actually in the city limits of Goodrich. So Livingston Volunteer Fire Department beat them in their own territory. We have not received from their department any documentation showing that they are making the medical calls or the landing zone calls. That was a problem before that they were being selective on. This department still has not completed or provided documentation for their compliance with the ISO. The other thing that last October, we sent out new revised MOUs with all the volunteer fire departments. Some of the requirements in there were member eligibility, documentation and proof of holding the workers' compensation insurance, and then also submitting their fire statistics and emergency runs calls statistics to our office quarterly in order to be paid or receive county funding. As of today, we have 2 departments that have not responded and executed those new MOUs with the county. And one of them is the Goodrich Volunteer Fire Department, and the other is Chester Fire Department. Not so concerned about Chester Fire Department because they haven't done it in a few years. They have not executed their contract with us. So the other 9 departments are all in compliance. Goodrich is still not in compliance with all the things that I mentioned that we took the territory away from them from. They've showed me no documentation that they are improving or bettering their situation. And at this time, it's a recommendation of the fire marshal that we do not return the territory to that department.
They basically where it stands right now is that the city of Goodrich is covered by the volunteer fire department, because that's a city decision. The ISO insurance issue has been going on for as long as I've been here. When I came on board, Don Boyette, who doesn't even own an insurance company anymore, was one of the people that requested it, because the importance, for those of you that don't understand, the importance of the ISO is that the ISO rating determines your insurance rate. And so the insurance rate for the residents that live in that area and for their businesses is higher than areas where they have a better ISO. So, what's the court's pleasure?
Well, I got one question, and, Chester, talking about them not turning theirs in, so why, I mean, why do they tolerate that? No.
Well, it's not, Chester is not a part,
They're Tyler County.
they come
Yeah, I know
over,
the Tyler County.
they come over as a mutual aid company. They're not one of our volunteer fire departments, I
ours.
have no control of them. They're in another county that sits right there on the county
So
line.
they come over and see.
They come over if we ask them to come over.
Okay.
Their portion of it, if you were to look at the numbers for a quarter, comes out
Yeah.
to probably about $150. what they
Their-
pay for a
Yes,
quarter.
their funding is $525.06 a year.
Right.
And there has been some talk, some discussion between Chester and Corrigan, of Corrigan going ahead and assuming that territory, you know, and splitting it on out, so that we don't have another counties.
Well, I wasn't, I'm not against it or anything like that,
Yeah.
I wouldn't, I was just, and I know they're Tyler County, I was just.
Yeah, no,
asking
and that's
my
why,
knowledge of know what-
yeah, and that's why we wanted to give you all the information, so you could see, you know, what their payments look like, what they receive in terms of funding. So that's an explanation of ISO. Also, the fire departments amongst themselves can also have agreements, mutual aid agreements, which is what he referenced, which mutual aid agreements that we do not have any part of. That's between the fire departments and the fire chiefs. If they have, like, I know that like South Polk County has a lot of mutual aid agreements with fire departments that are in Liberty County in that area. Okay, Corrigan has mutual aid agreements, which several of them do with Chester or with other ESDs or volunteer fire departments. So it just, you know, it depends on that fire chief. If you will recall, they presented us with some concern about that there had been a death in San Jacinto County. We asked the fire marshal to look into it, and the decision on who to call is up to the fire chief and the incident commander that is there at that point in time. And they all have mutual aid agreements. To our knowledge, no mutual aid agreements have been canceled. But a lot of times the call is up to the fire chief. It depends on what equipment they need, or how much manpower they need, or how big of a truck, and who has it and who doesn't. So those are different. The disqualifications was one of the things that was added to our mutual aid agreement. And the fire chief develops that as well. It's their domain, and what it amounted to is that we created a system where there would be an unbiased person reviewing those applications to make sure that there were no felons, that there were no sex offenders, no pedophiles, anyone questionable that was then being deployed to someone's home. So that's where that came from. So the fire marshal collects the applications, the sheriff does the background checks, and then they move forward. So there's been some pushback in different areas.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and I think I'll speak for most of y'all here. I know most of these people, I'm friends with some of them, and I'd like to see them be able to volunteer and fight, but they're gonna have to get on the program.
That's what,
Right.
I'd like to make a motion that we give them 90 days to get all their stuff right, get their MOUs did, their ISO did, everything else. And if they do that, then they get their territory back.
Have they had time to do that before? I mean, I'm just curious.
Yes.
They probably have, but now they know, this time they know that they've gotta do it, you know?
And if they don't,
And they-
they'll be voted off.
You know, and if they don't, then it's, you know, I mean,
It's
it's, you know,
nice-
it's a deal.
Is 90 days enough time for everybody to get trained? No?
Okay, we'll give
So
them 6
what
months.
if we make this?
I can't tell you how long it would take to train those members, I'm not sure of what their level is at
Some
this
of,
time.
some of them have already been going to training.
No, and I understand they
I mean,
probably,
that's-
they've
Carty
done
told me that,
some, done some
nobody
training
else,
over there.
but Carty told me they already seen the people train.
I understand that they're not producing any documentation to
But
my.
that's what I'm saying, that we
Give
want them to
them so
start
many
producing
days
the
to produce.
documentation.
I understand that.
So
What-
how
So how
long would
long
it-
do we do?
How long does it take for someone to get trained? Let's say they start from point zero. Is 90 days enough? Because part of it is they're gonna have to recruit new members as well, right?
Okay, but there's different levels of training, so you can take a junior, for lack of a better term, a rookie firefighter, and with 1 hour, 2 hours a month of their training sessions that they have, if they're not sending them to outside training, it would take years for this guy to be a capable firefighter.
Okay, so what if we say, let's do it in months? They have until this time next year to provide with appropriate training. I just don't think, I think 90 days is not an achievable goal. And I don't wanna set up Goodrich Volunteer Fire Department for failure and this court for setting something up that's unreasonable.
That's fine with me, I'm, you know, I don't know, but I just like to have, I'd like for them to have the opportunity to get their stuff back and.
Well,
And we wouldn't know how long it would really take them without talking to them individually.
and for
I'd say
them
where
doing
they're
it,
at,
not
you know,
saying, well, we
so-
promise we're gonna do this, but actually doing it.
Mhm.
We have some cadets that promise the sheriff a lot.
No, they're gonna have to make the commitment, and they're gonna have to do those things.
And they
that's
know
what
that.
I'm- But that's, yes, sir, they're aware of that, and they were also aware of that 4 months ago when we took this the first time. We gave them those same reasons that we're here today talking about that I just discussed. They know the deficiencies that we were questioning at that time, and they have done nothing that I have seen in this period of time. You can give them as much time as you want, but I don't think we're gonna get the outcome that we want.
Well,
I
let's
don't
see.
see that.
If we don't get it, they don't.
Let's just see.
Okay, so, I would suggest that we do a year, 18 months, whatever y'all wanna come up with, but that you give them some kind of deadline. Because the truth of the matter is that the first meeting that we had with the fire chief was about this time last year, where we went through this. It wasn't, I mean, we kept pushing, and so I'm not opposed to giving them an opportunity. It was never our intention for them never to get an opportunity to get that territory again. But they had to show that they could, in fact, I just don't think health and safety of our residents should be negotiable in any form or fashion.
And
So that's my concern.
Well, I agree about, you know, giving everybody a chance, but when you put people's lives in danger because you're, you know, not have the sufficient training that you would, or that you're supposed to have, and all those other issues, it gets a different, you know, a different look at it, if that makes sense, that, I mean.
Well, they're not
I
on
get
the,
it, I want them to have to train everything else, but I want them to have the opportunity to get their territory back.
And they've got that opportunity. They've had it all along. We never said it was permanent. And we told them that. We told them, these are the deficiencies, you need to meet them. So let's give them a deadline. Let's tell them
Okay,
1 year. They've got 1 year from today to not only present, to not say they've done it, to not show up and have
They-
someone
they-
else
they
say it,
understand
but
that.
to provide the documentation.
They understand
If 1 year, that's, I mean, that's, what, should they be points in between now and 1 year that?
that. But I'm hoping that they would do this.
I'm just curious,
I'm
I'm hoping that they start showing progress.
But
That's
are-
what I'm counting on.
well, and that's fine. The question she's asking is, do you want markers?
yeah.
I really don't care.
I don't know when to set them.
And I don't wanna
And
set them.
and
I
don't-
think
maybe
they
that-
are,
I'm just posing that, I'm
Yeah.
just a question.
that is whatever the court wishes to do. But, you know, if someone is going to provide a service, then they can provide a service. I don't think we should be looking over their shoulder saying, hey, you haven't done this, hey, you haven't done that.
That is a good point.
Yeah, we're not,
But we
But
did,
also-
I'm not a high school teacher
but
anymore.
we did though, we stood over their shoulders and. you know,
No, we
and
told
That's what we're actually doing.
No,
All of
she's
it.
talking about, what are we gonna do, quarterly? You wanna check on Goodrich?
No, I don't, I wanna know, when they get all this stuff back, then they,
And
that's what we wanna know.
then they need to communicate with that man right there.
Yeah,
Right, they can submit to my office, whatever they'd like to submit, and I'll keep it, put it together, and I'll present again.
okay.
But the ISO documentation has not been done for over 10 years.
Okay,
And
well.
every year, we have requested that ISO
But we
documentation.
gonna request it again.
Well, we are, and that's part of it, is that now it's in our MOUs. Now you can't have a felon, I don't care how nice a guy he is, he can't be on your volunteer fire department. So, you know, the most vulnerable point in time for a lot of people is when their house and everything they own, including their kids' baby pictures, is gone. And then to send someone in there that you know has problems with theft or molestation or, ugh, I just can't imagine that. So,
But I also wanna make sure that, you know, say they get it before then, that we don't hold them to
Yeah.
that year thing, you know, if they get it before then, that we can come back in and,
We just want,
You did say
we wanna know they're being
Everything's
compliant with what we
Yeah.
want,
That's all
and
we
we
want.
want
When they
them.
get compliant, they get their territory back.
We want them to have enough knowledge and training to when they are responders, it's not inhibiting our public, and it's not a danger to them also.
exactly, or to other fire responders.
Right, and that's part of this,
Oh.
all this started because of complaints coming from either citizens or other departments or stuff like this because of them not handling business at that time. That's how this got
Okay,
started.
We're
the
getting-
MOUs, let's back up on the 1 year, the MOUs, we renew the MOUs October 1, every year, right at budget season. So let's give them that deadline, that before the next budget gets approved, that they need to present the fire marshal. Not you pieces, me pieces, someone else pieces.
No, it goes to him, goes through him, it goes through John.
You okay with that?
And I'm sure that he should get his MOU way before October.
If they don't comply to it, then they don't get it back,
Yeah.
period.
Well, they need to sign, if they want to
I mean, that's
pay,
just a
they need to
simple
sign the MOU.
So I mean, so that should be no problem. I mean, I
We
don't know.
don't have an MOU right now.
Well, okay. But, so we shouldn't give them till October to give us one, that they should be able to
No,
get.
for the change in funding, for them to receive their territory back. But we don't have an MOU right now.
Okay.
They have not signed the MOU that was issued October of last year.
Well, they need to sign, so we need to proceed. So that's on them, it's not on us, I mean, that. So they've got to sign it, get it turned into John.
The change in territory, they need to have the documentation in before the next budget, because
Yeah.
that changes the budget.
Mm-hmm.
But if they are not compliant on any of these issues, then I don't think they would give them another 12 months, and another 12 months, and another 12 months.
Well, they're getting an opportunity to get it back,
They're-
you know.
Yes,
One
sir.
time, they got a one-time try, if they're not in compliance, then,
I don't know about the one time.
but I'm saying,
Okay.
But I'm-
now, 12
But
months.
now they know that everybody knows we got something to do to do it.
Sounds good to me.
And you said for October or for?
They gotta have an MOU before October.
yes.
But a year from the date,
Well, part of what the court needs to decide right now is they are not compliant, so.
And that's what I say,
and
when
we
they
have-
get compliant, we give them their territory back.
Okay, but that's two different things. We have two different things going. So one of my suggestions is, They provide fire services strictly to the city of Goodrich. The only territory we took out was the territory outside. So, we do not have an MOU with Goodrich Volunteer Fire Department because they have not complied with it. So one of my recommendations is going to be, is that we, because we do have MOUs and agreements with the city of Goodrich, that we go ahead and write a quarterly check, but we write it to the city of Goodrich for them to decide how to utilize it in terms of fire protection. I don't know if the city of Goodrich needs equipment that they could utilize in their buildings. We don't know that.
Well, why don't we just get them to sign their MOU and bring it to John?
Because they're not compliant with the MOU. Until they are compliant with the MOU, then we're just saying, oh, okay, never mind, here you go for the 10th time. So, we can't just say, oh, okay, you whined loud enough that we're gonna give you your money.
The signing of the.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, I don't think you ought to give them any money till they.
That's my point. I don't think we should give the Goodrich Volunteer Fire Department the money, but we have the money in our budget, so we should give it to the city of Goodrich for them to decide how to utilize those funds to protect their residents. And if that means buying a piece of equipment for themselves, or fire extinguishers, or doing whatever they need to do with the money, then we allow the city of Goodrich to proceed.
So, I'm not arguing the point that we need to give them Goodrich Volunteer any money.
No,
I'm
I know you're
arguing
not.
that point for a year now, till they get in.
No, I need for the court to tell me what to do with that quarterly payment.
I give it to the city.
Okay,
of Goodrich myself.
That's fine.
can you bring that as a motion?
I'll
We
make it a
took
motion.
another motion, yeah.
Well, I know, but I'm just asking, can you bring that as a motion?
So move.
Okay, very well. Okay, so, back to the original information that we provided you all. Yours will come as part of that. So, action relating to the volunteer fire department, we had a motion from Commissioner Purvis. How exactly do you want to read it?
That when they get compliant, they get their territory back. When they get compliant with the MOU, they get their territory back.
Second.
And 12 months to do it in.
But really, it'd be
I would say October 1.
October
I would
first.
say October 1.
I mean, that's,
Okay, so compliance by
we'll see how
October
close they
1.
are at that time.
Okay, so that comes from Commissioner Purvis, second from Commissioner Dubus. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Very well, motion carries. And part of that agreement will be that payments, quarterly payments, be received by the city of Goodrich.
They're gonna be the one fighting the fires. They need the
Yeah,
money.
technically. Will that work? He's okay with that. Are you okay with giving the money to the city of Goodrich? That takes
Well,
care
who
of those.
are you still giving it to?
It doesn't matter. We're giving it to the city of Goodrich.
Cause you have a MOU with them and we don't have one with them.
Yes. That way those residents are getting taken care of. That's my only goal,
That might be that taken care of, resident.
is to make sure that the residents of the city of Goodrich are taken care of.
Yeah. I agree. I'll second.
Sounds good.
I mean, we're talking about,
Yeah,
because here's the thing.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, the Goodrich, okay, Goodrich funding, the base for Goodrich Volunteer Fire Department is almost $16,000. Okay, so the change, literally the change in funding that we're talking about in terms of the territory that is the county is $2,300.
Yeah. It wasn't about the money,
Not that.
Then,
it was about the territory.
then maybe they need to cut the money.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Commissioner Purvis.
We ain't done his, we ain't done his.
Oh, I'm putting that in that,
Oh, okay.
in yours.
Motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Curtis, Commissioner Cassidy, motion to adjourn, what time is that?
11:09.
Yeah, they have to deal over there.